Okay, let's get going. So, welcome everybody. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to the next in our series of informal and virtual brown bag lunches, where we are previewing a whole range of work streams and activities here at the UN Office for Outer Space Affairs, with a view of raising awareness doing, and then also preview to look ahead to how things, what exciting things are coming up in the pipeline for 2021. And today we have the honor of being with the team delivering the Space4Youth program, which, as the title suggests, is all about engaging with young persons in the work that we do here at the UN level on space, both from a policy point of view, and then also with regards to space exploration and how we use space technology, space data, and space information to support socio-economic development on a global scale. It's a relatively new competition. We're going to hear more about. It's a relatively new project, which we're going to be hearing more about through the project lead, Ms. Veronica Chesko. She's going to be delivering a presentation, as I say, outlining all of these different elements, so you can learn a little bit more about this work stream and how you can get involved going forward. Just a couple of kind of house rules. If everyone, we've got people kind of tuning in from all around the world, so just to reduce bandwidth, I could kindly ask everyone to keep their cameras off. Obviously, if you're speaking, you can keep your cameras on, but we've got one speaker today, Ms. Veronica Chesko, with a couple of other colleagues joining in later. If you do want to ask a question, you can just use the chat function throughout the whole session. We will have a little bit of the time at the end where we'll be posing any questions that haven't been covered already in the chat, but we do have UN colleagues online monitoring the chat, and they'll be able to interact with you as we go through this session. So don't wait until the very end to ask your questions. Have a go in the chat function, and we'll hopefully make this session as dynamic as possible. We are recording the session, as we have done with all of the others in this series, and they're going online on our YouTube account. So you can see that and see all of the other different work streams that we've already been talking about in this series. Just to note that the next session next week, also scheduled for Wednesday at the same time, is going to be on our Access to Space for All program, which is all about the work that we do collaborating with space agencies and the private space sector to open up opportunities to new and emerging spacefaring nations to engage in space. Right, but that's enough about that. Now back to Space4Youth. So it's an absolute pleasure to now hand the floor over to Veronica Chesko, who's going to be taking us through the presentation today. So please, Veronica, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Ian, and good morning and good afternoon, good evening, everybody. I'm very happy that you are connecting today to hear a little bit more about Space4Youth. And I'll give you a presentation. I hope, I think you can see my screen on your screen. So I will briefly talk to you about the UN Youth 2030 strategy. We'll talk about the Space4Youth competitions and stories. I'll briefly mention something on our activities related to access to space for all and youth, and I will end up with something on Space4Water. So in 2018, the UN Secretary General launched the UN Youth 2030 strategy. And this strategy recognized young people as agents of change, and it recognized the contribution, the positive contribution of young people for sustainable development goals. The United Nations have been identified as a source of protection and support, and at the same time as a platform for youth needs, voices, and engagement. Sorry. There are a series of priorities under this Youth 2030 strategy, so something that is really across the entire UN system. And one of these priorities is engagement, participation, and advocacy to amplify youth voices for the promotion of a peaceful, just, and sustainable world. And UNOOSA has focused through its activities on these specific priorities. Something that is of absolute importance is that STEM fields are the future of the job market. They are extremely important. And we want to make sure that we provide opportunities to young people to pursue and succeed in education and their career, because it's important to say that current young generations are the ones who will define and conduct the future of space exploration. And for this reason, we need to make sure that young people are better equipped. And so we really looked at the UN Youth 2030 strategy, and we decided to develop something that was gonna kind of decline this priority that I mentioned before into something that is just developed by UNOOSA. And here is what we have is the Space4Youth competition. I'm sure some of you heard about this competition. So the objective of the competition is to engage and bring the perspective of young people in the global discussion by gathering example of how space can support sustainable development goals. And the other objective is to amplify the voices of youth in space to the members of the United Nations Committee on the Peaceful Uses of Outer Space. So policymakers at UN level that are dealing with the space. We have, so far we had 2 competitions in 2019 and 2020, and both competitions were run with the Space Generation Advisory Council, SGAC, which is a network of students and young professionals dedicated to space, interested in the space sector, and with the generous contribution of the US Permanent Mission to the international organizations here in Vienna, who provided in both cases the award to our winners. In 2019, we focused on space as a general tool to achieve sustainable development goals. So we looked at how this happens in general, like generally to sustainable development goals, and also how we asked our young participants to choose an SDG and to describe how space technologies and other space-related dimensions are supporting, we're supporting these specific development goals. So it was more general. While in 2020, we focused on SDG 13 on climate action. And as you can read here, we look at space as a tool to address climate challenges and example from local communities. So these are the 2 competitions that we run, and every year we from the 2019 to 2020, the competition really went to the next level with more than 400 registrations from 70 countries, and the quality of the essays that we received was really incredible. And I would like now to mention to you something about our Space4Youth competition of 2019. And here I see I'm going to talk about the winners of 2019, and I'm actually happy to see that one of them is among the participants, and just saying hi to Milica, who's listening to us today, and she's here in the photo, as you can see. These are the winners from 2019. So we have Arthur, Milica, and George. And this is their experience that they had at the International Astronautical Congress in Washington, D.C. Because the prize, the award that was provided by the US was to fly to Washington, D.C. for the International Astronautical Congress, where these winners participated to an event where they they could talk about their essays and directly with the specific experts. And then they had the chance to visit to meet with officials of the State Department, and all of this was kindly offered by the US Permanent Mission here in Vienna. And from what I recall, it was an incredible experience. And here, for instance, in the picture, you could see it's the winners with the French astronaut Jean-François Clairvoy, who used this time to spend some time with these amazing young people, and they had a very good time. And I think Milica can probably confirm that afterwards. And one of the things that I would like to highlight, and is a quote from Arthur in this case, because it's really, I think it really captures what the Space4Youth competition is about. And in fact, it says that it does not matter where you come from, but the Space4Youth competition provides an equal opportunity for any eligible participant to contribute to advancing youth perspectives within the global space dialogue. And back then, Arthur said he was happy to go back to the Philippines, where he was teaching, and trying to make sure that he could make space initiative more accessible and fun for his students to learn. So this was the experience in 2019, which also from my side was absolutely amazing. And in 2020, last year, we had the competition, as I was saying, focusing on something more specific. So in this case, we wanted really to look at concrete examples of how space is being used in local communities to address climate challenges. So we really wanted to have original and concrete examples, because sometimes we speak about elements in a very general and broad way. And we really wanted to look at what is happening at local community level when it gets to space and climate. And here we had other really amazing essays, and here are the winners. You can see them, those Paola, Satrio, and Solong. And their contribution was absolutely fantastic. And they were one of the, even in this case, they are, their prize is actually to go to the US. In this case, it's actually something different, because they will attend the space camp at the University of Alabama, and they will attend and visit this, the US Space and Rocket Center in Alabama. So they will have, unfortunately last year they couldn't fly to the US due to the COVID-19 related restrictions. But we really hope that by the end of this year, they will be able to enjoy this amazing trip and learn so much about the space sector. And something that I would like to do with you now, it's, let's say, to try to wake you up and make sure you're still listening to me, but also to show you how amazing these kind of competitions are, is a small quiz, and I would like to, it's very easy. I think there might be troubles with the technical part of the quiz, but nevertheless I will go forward. Technology, we still haven't learned everything about this, but the reason why I would like to do this, as I was saying, is to show how incredible this work can be actually. So when we asked essayists, when we asked young people to tell us concrete examples of how space is being used in their local communities for tackling climate change, we received some very interesting examples. And now I'd like to, this is the question that I would like to ask. And you might think, what is this about? So what's a chinampa? A small artificial island on a freshwater lake used for agricultural purposes, a method to improve infrastructure for water collection, storage, and distribution, a beverage made from the infusion or decoction of herbs and spices. Now, normally you would have received a poll with the questions and you could have been able to reply. Yeah, you can also do that with the chat, thanks. Unfortunately, due to the technical error, we can't do that. But anyway, I'm sure you have that in your mind. And yes, indeed, I see that Milica and Emmett got it right. And it's the small artificial island on a freshwater lake used for agricultural purposes. Thanks so much. And you might think, well, what is this about? And this is actually an example that was brought by Paola, last year's winner. And it's basically, she was talking about the lagoon, the Alvarado Lagoon system in Mexico, which is the second largest mangrove forest in Mexico. And due to the deforestation of this mangrove forest, local communities are working to improve, to repopulate, regrow these mangroves. And in this case, what is used is this specifically technique, which is called chinampa, that was used by the old Aztec. And it's really building this kind of floating gardens. And this is just one part of what the local community is doing, because the second part is actually the part of using Earth observation and satellite imagery to monitor the growth of the seeds that are being planted, and making sure that the evolution and the growth of the mangrove forest is going well. And so from one side, they put together this old technique, agricultural technique, with the satellite data that is crucial for monitoring. And I particularly like these examples because it really put together old and new technologies. And I think it's really interesting to see such type of examples, because otherwise it wouldn't be something so easy to find out as information. So this was one of the examples that was provided last year. And then another question is, what is Orondata? A type of financing vehicle for startups in the space sector, a mobile application to collect relevant data on land cover analysis, or a bag of cloth stuffed with a mass of soft material orbiting into outer space. So again, this is another question. And the magic answer is a mobile application to collect relevant data on land cover analysis. So basically, there's been a citizen science campaign in Indonesia, where a mobile app, which is called Orondata, has been used to collect relevant data on land cover analysis and land degradation. And it has been, this Orondata mobile app has different components. And one of these components is a rapid image assessment tool that allows users to classify satellite imagery by the type of land cover and land use that is visible, or also to examine pairs of images for the detection of change over time. And again, here, the example, I think, is extremely relevant, because it's about, in this case, it's about young people developing this type of campaign, young people collecting this data to tackle, in this case, an element that is land degradation. And in 2019, in this case, it was related to South Sumatra. In 2019, the campaign was able to collect 1 million satellite image data interpretation with an accuracy rate of 77%. So here it's really, I think, this is really an amazing example of how youth can use space data to drive climate action. And then going forward, something that I'm really, really happy to announce is that this year we will launch the third competition. So we will have the 2021 Space4Youth competition, and it will focus on space as a tool to foster adaptation and mitigation. And the very exciting part is that this competition will be launched as part as the All for Climate Italy 2021 program, which will lead to the pre-COP26 and the Youth for Climate Summit hosted by Italy. This year, as you may know, COP is co-hosted by Italy and the UK, and Italy is organizing pre-COP26 and the Youth for Climate Summit in Milan at the end of September. And so the competition will fall under this amazing umbrella. And there will be more details coming soon. So if you're interested, just stay tuned, check our website, and follow our social media. And now I'll move to another activity that we're doing as part of Space4Youth, and these are the Space4Youth Stories. So here we are really collecting stories from young people who would like to share their experience, their as students, as young professionals, and who would like to share their personal insights, to share advice and inspirations for other young people, and as well as exploring the link between development and space. We are looking for any kind of experience. Something that is important is to have these passionate people. As you can see here in the picture, these are some of the young people who have published their stories on our website, and some of them did work in science communication, founded an aerospace startup, is working in space diplomacy and conducting research in space law. So it's really different and diverse. The type of stories that we collected are really diverse. And if you're interested, please do not hesitate to send us your story. There's the email address there. Check our website. There's also the link where you can see all the different criteria. And we're really looking forward to receiving more stories, because we really want to showcase the ingenuousness and the initiative of young people all over the world. And then, as I was mentioning before, I'm just briefly talking about Access to Space for All, which is one of the flagships initiative of the office, trying to providing access to space to emerging spacefaring nations, but also non-spacefaring nations. And while this initiative is not entirely dedicated to youth, it has a big, I would say, youth component, in the sense that it provides, for instance, opportunities for students and young professionals to conduct research or experiments within teams of research driven that are part of specific research institutions or universities, for instance. There are several opportunities. So if you're for instance, a young researcher in the space field, and you would like with your team of researchers to do some type of scientific experiments, perhaps just have a look at our website. These are some of our opportunities, and some of them are open right now. So it might be interesting for you to have a look at that, because this clearly provides interesting opportunity for many young people. And then the other element that I wanted to focus on is the Space4Water portal. The Space4Water portal is a platform for exchanging knowledge on space technology and water-related topics. And what we're looking here at the Space4Water portal, there's a feature which is called Meet a Young Professional. And this is a unique opportunity for young professionals to share their experience and views with the community of experts. And who should apply to have this? In this case, it would be about having an interview and a profile page on the Space4Water portal. And we encourage young professionals working with or studying space technologies, sustainable water resources management, hydrology, or related fields to apply. As it's written in the slides, you can see that you can apply for the next round of interviews. And you can learn more on our website, because there are, of course, certain criteria, but please do not hesitate to contact us. And from this, I would like to I'm almost concluding my presentation. And something that I would like to mention is that, of course, when we look at space exploration, is something that is intergenerational. And so it's absolutely crucial to involve young people in defining the future direction of space policy and exploration. And this is important to make sure that we build a better future for humanity beyond the timeline of the present leaders. So we really want to offer opportunities to young people for their professional and personal development. We want to give them the opportunities like a Space4Youth competition to attend international conferences, to amplify their voices, because as you saw from the examples that I made, the ideas and the concrete examples are that we can get are really amazing. And so I'm really happy that we can provide such a platform, and we are really looking forward to doing this more. So we would love, of course, to expand our activities dedicated to youth, perhaps engaging a different type of youth audiences. In this case, we are focusing with the Space for Youth competition. The age range is very broad, so it goes from 18 to 35. But we are really looking at the at developing further opportunities for projects and including and amplifying the voices of young people. So if there is anybody who is interested in developing further opportunities, I would suggest please do not hesitate to get in touch with me, because this is also part of our efforts at UN-wide level to bring the UN strategy, Youth 2030 strategy forward. And I would say that this is it from my side. Here's my contact details. We have a general email on space4youth@un.org. Please do not hesitate to reach out. And a small heads up, next week we have access to Space for All, brown bag lunch session. Sorry, Ian, I already put that in the slide. But now I'll be happy to reply to any of the questions you might have. Thanks.
Great stuff. Thank you, Veronica. I'm seeing hands going up on in the chat function, and I'm also seeing quite a few questions coming in. I'm just going to encourage colleagues to just, if you can pose your questions in writing format in the chat, that would be great. I'm going to pick up some of the questions that are coming in from the chats now. And basically, what is your definition for young people? Is there an age in that? And then also, is there a kind of a deadline date for the Space for Youth stories? So there are two questions coming in.
So for the, in terms of youth, I must say there are different criteria used within the UN. I would say one definition that is used is actually from 15 to 24. And it's very narrow, I would say, but then it also depends on the type of organization. So I know other organizations, like for instance, the International Labour Organization, have a broader range, and in fact it goes from 15 to 35. So it really depends on the, I would say, organization. There are some criteria, and this is why I was saying that we are really also looking at trying to develop activities for different youth audiences, because there are, we don't want just to work with people who are between 18 and 24 or 25 and 30, but it really depends. It's just like, for the purpose of the Space for Youth competition is 1835. But it's really, it depends on the organization and the project within the UN system.
Thanks a lot. And then the next question was a deadline for the Space for Youth stories.
No, there are no deadlines. It's a rolling, ongoing project. So you can go to our webpage and you find all the information. There's no deadline. You can write it whenever you want. My advice is just make sure that you read the rules and the advice to write these stories, and then you can send it to us. We will check it, edit it, and publish it. But no deadlines.
Perfect. Okay, great. And then another question coming in is, does the Space for Youth project focus solely on education and STEM, or are there other opportunities that maybe look in terms of supporting youth engagement on non-STEM aspects, like supporting the commercial space sector or supporting the growth of a national space activities?
Well, it's not just related to STEM. Maybe something that I should have made a little bit more clear is that, for instance, in the case of the Space for Youth competition, we didn't ask simply how can space technologies support the Sustainable Development Goals, but it's really space in its broad dimension. And here I'm talking also about space policy, space law, and also space as its inspirational power to educate people. So it's really broad in the Space for Youth competition. Then of course, like often we end up talking about space technologies because that's probably the most evident matter that when we look at sustainable development, we think mainly at space technologies, but it's something broader. And when it gets, for instance, to the commercial part, supporting perhaps young entrepreneurs, this is something that we would really love to do. It's something that we think is we looking forward, trying perhaps to support young entrepreneurs in the space field would be absolutely brilliant. At the moment, we don't have a project, but we would really be happy to develop something going forward.
Okay, hey, great stuff. Thanks for that answer. And loads more questions coming in. The next one is just about the geographical scope, and I think I already know the answer about this one, but it would be great to hear from you in terms of, is there a target geographical scope for some of these activities or not?
Well, no, this is actually for everybody across the globe. I must say, as I see, it's really for everybody coming from all countries. As I said before, we got, for instance, for this 2020 Space for Youth competition, we had applications from 70 countries. So this is clearly not, you can clearly see that this is not targeted to one continent. It was really Africa, Latin America, Asia, Pacific, Europe, the Americas, really from everywhere across the world. And the examples that were brought for the competition were also extremely inspiring and creative. And I read essays about the Inuit communities. For instance, the examples that I brought from Mexico, Indonesia, Chad Lake, really plenty from all over the world. And so I truly invite you to apply if you're interested in this competition.
Right, perfect. And it's nice to see such engagement already embedded in the work that you're doing. So congratulations on that. Another question coming in, and this is somebody who would like to, and I do have the name, Sanchi, who would like to organize a Space for Youth activity, discussion, some sort of event in their local community. Is there any procedure for how that can be approached, or is that something that's been done in the past?
That's actually a very interesting idea. This is something we haven't really done anything similar. So we haven't had any young people organizing an event in their local communities, but this sounds clearly interesting, because something that we really want to ensure in our work is also that people understand the added value of space for development. Sometimes people don't understand how important space is for social and economic development. And so having like some kind of youth ambassadors bringing space to their local communities and talking about this in their cities would be absolutely an amazing idea. And I'll be happy to discuss this further. We don't have a specific procedure at the moment, but I'll be happy to support and think about this.
Perfect. Okay, thanks for that. Really appreciate that one. Two more questions for you. One is asking if there are any winners for the Space for Youth Stories series, similar to the competition. That's just a quick one, so I'll give you that one first, if you don't mind.
It's not really about winning or losing. I must say, we like the stories that we received so far, we edited and published them. Of course, they need to respect some criteria. So if you look at the website and check the criteria and write a story that follows those criteria, then it's in principle, it's fine. I wouldn't say we're not really talking about winners when we talk about the Space for Youth stories.
Got you. Perfect. And then the last question that's coming in right now is there any plans, and it'd be really interesting to hear how this goes in terms of organizing kind of a concrete event So rather than a longer time frame piece of engagement, such as a hackathon or such as a way of convening youth at the same time at the same place to explore some of the topics that we've discussed today. Is that in the pipeline? And if so, great. And if not, is that something that could be considered?
Well, I would say that would be a great idea. And to be honest, I had a chat with a colleague who is interested in youth activities, and we said, oh, we could think about this for the future. And she was mentioning hackathons. So, but of course, this is really like, you know, a conversation that we had. I can't even say in the corridors because we are all working from home, but. No, yeah, I think it's a very good idea. And as I said, we're looking at expanding our activities, maybe not this year. And of course, also, especially if we want to have a live event somewhere this year, it's going to be more difficult. But I think that maybe for the future and maybe 2022, there is space to think about having something like this. So it's really a great idea.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, I think with that, I'll call a close on the questions. Thank you so much for all of those great questions, and thank you, Veronica. Oh, I see a hand coming raised from Milica. So I think, yeah, as a former winner, I'm more than happy to give the floor to you. So please, over to you.
Hi, Milica.
Hi, hello everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Hi, I'm happy to be here. I was so surprised when I saw the post on Facebook. Actually, that's how I saw in the photo, and that you are organizing this event to promote a wonderful project that I'm so happy that I was part of it, and I still feel like I'm part of it. And so I wanted just to jump in really quickly to say hi to everyone and to encourage everybody to participate, because the experience and the opportunities and doors that opened for me, and I believe for other two winners the same year that I participated, it is amazing. And I really was very lucky to be part of it, of this wonderful project, and I hope that you will grow bigger and better and receive more and more participants and everybody who is going to be part of it, and it's going to grow to become a big global project, because I think that is the main reason for this whole program.
Thank you, Milica. Actually, I'm really happy that you connected, that you just say hi. I'm really happy to see you. And this is totally unexpected. We were not expecting Milica to join and say something, but indeed, I thank you for your kind words. And I really hope that this will grow further.
I hope so too.
It's really nice to hear the legacy issue, and that it's opened doors and it's continuing. So it's not just the particular year that you were part of the program. So that's really nice to hear.
Yes, it is, and I hope that for everybody else is going to be like that. And I like the questions of like establishing something to have like a yearly conference that is related to Space4Youth and the rest of the SDGs and how we're involved. I really hope that eventually there will be something like that, like a hackathon or something where we can all participate. So happy to be here, and for everybody else, if I can help somehow answering the questions or sharing my experience, feel free to contact me.
Thank you, Milica. Very kind.
Great stuff. Okay, perfect. Right. Well, I'll just leave it at that to wrap up with a thank you for everyone to joining us. Today's session has been recorded. It'll go on our YouTube channel along with all of the others in this Brown Bag Lunch series. It's a pleasure to see such levels of interest in UNOOSA's work, and we look forward to continuing this conversation going forward. As Veronica mentioned, next week we're looking at our Access to Space for All program, which is continuing to grow from strength to strength over the years. I think we're now up to 9 different partnerships in our portfolio of opportunities that are available to the community. So really exciting stuff. over there. Okay, so that's all from me. That's all from us here at UNOOSA today. A pleasure to join with you and being with you. And as Annie can just post in the link, you can see the follow in the chat to our YouTube channel, where we've got all of the series uploaded and waiting for you. Okay, great. Take care. Enjoy the sunshine. I hope it's sunny where you are. It certainly is in Vienna. Take care. Ciao. Bye.